Hi, so I had a really great question about experiencing a lot of the darkness and the ego backlashes that are coming up for someone. They're practicing every moment, they're doing their course lessons, they're being very mindful, everything that they've been invited to do. They're even doing their levels of mind, like we've suggested from LevelsOfMind.com. But they are still wondering if there's something they're doing wrong, if perhaps they're spending too much time on their own, and if they'd be better off doing something else like volunteering. So I felt like I should talk about purpose for a moment, because how you spend your day in devotion depends entirely on what the purpose of your day is for. So if you have decided that you want to be devoted to forgiveness, then we talked again about the action that stems from that desire. And so one of the ways in which you can put your mind solely devoted into function of some kind is to have a volunteering opportunity. Perhaps you're retired, perhaps you have a family, perhaps you have many other draws on your time and space, but also there's this deep call and need in you to put your mind into something that is 100% devoted to awakening. Well, this serves in two ways. One, it puts your mind solely into a devoted space when you're doing this particular activity. And two, everything that you're learning and hearing about as you do this devoted activity is reinforcing the truth in your mind. So I'd like to talk about volunteering because I think it's a very valuable contribution that you can make, which really assuages guilt momentarily, as if you need to be good to not be guilty. You know, in the interim, this kind of really allows the ego to feel busy doing something. We can't all sit around all day meditating. It's not your pathway and it wouldn't necessarily serve you. So any volunteer opportunity that comes your way that is part of devoted practice of awakening will really be helpful. Now, all of the famous ashrams of the East always use service as part of it. And so you were scrubbing the floor in devotion and joy, you were watching your mind, and then that was part of your practice when you sat later in the day. What I'm suggesting here is a very new, modern, Western style of volunteering, and it's being of service to the mind, to the awakening mind. First and foremost, nobody needs your help. You're recognizing that you need this support tool for your mind. Secondly, you're sitting and addressing something that is pure and devoted for a certain period of time, perhaps every day. And so you can very easily say to your family and friends, I'm doing my service work right now. And it seems somehow easier to sequester yourself often to do your hour or 2 hours, maybe even just once a week. It's hard to sit meditating in a room when you're hearing someone talking outside, or there seems to be something more important you could be doing. And so this is a real bridge for the mind that needs to occupy itself and yet reinforce what's true. And there are many volunteer opportunities available. I'm just going to talk about one of them right now. LivingMiracles.org is a place where you can go informed to volunteer, or you can volunteer remotely. So let's talk about that option for a moment. Anyone who's ever had a desire to be of service, and this is how many of us have felt, also have a deep desire to be connected. And so you could be on an island like Majorca in the middle of the Mediterranean and feel totally connected even if you didn't know any other course students. And one of the ways in which this supports your mind training is that on these calls, perhaps you're translating a video into another language like Spanish, or perhaps you're just transcribing an audio from a great teacher like David Hoffmeister. It's reinforcing everything about that for your day, and I guarantee you whatever you're transcribing that day will be exactly what you need to hear. And I worked this way for many years myself and found it incredibly valuable. The attentiveness to putting your mind on the page and the particular nature of it, and the not just tossing things together, but this mindful practice is the mindfulness of chop wood, carry water. And so I'm going to put a link in the description here for if this sparks your heart and you're interested in volunteer opportunities. The second aspect of volunteering is the connecting with a mighty companion who's possibly a few steps ahead of you in this mindful, practical way. It's a practice of joining in purpose with someone who's devoted to the same purpose as you are, which is forgiveness, and that is what you are joining through up front. And this pristine way of joining is such a relief to the mind just getting on that call, just talking about, did you send in your transcript? Was it in the font that was needed? It doesn't really matter what it is, but there's this sublime experience of being completely connected to what matters most to you, and to having someone else with that breadth and freshness on the other end of the phone or the email or the Skype call with you. And that's invaluable. It's a great way to develop a network of mighty companions no matter where you live in the world. And it's also something that you can do in your own time very often, like after work. If you work a late night shift, then you're still up and you want to connect. And that works great because you're in Australia and the majority of those people are perhaps in America. So it works very well for you working solo, even off-grid, in your own time, in a mindful way, and then being able to share and extend the skills and talents that you already have. So one of those skills and talents may be the ability to type, the ability to transcribe audios, editing experience, anything like that. And I just think that everyone needs some kind of a practice where there's a contribution being made. And we all receive so much from all of the free materials that are put out, particularly from David Hoffmeister and LivingMiracles. And I think that this deep appreciation and ability to give something back is just really wonderful. It undoes the idea of reciprocity and yet appreciates what's being freely given. And those who have received much, there's a natural desire to give and to extend and give back. Of course, the vaunting, first and foremost, is for yourself. So I'm going to put a link here for that. And I just really encourage all of you to have a go, because it has been a sublime way and support tool for my mind during all of these awakening experiences, and then with these ongoing intimate relationships with everyone there. And this extended feeling of community globally, which just to me just feels like being part of this mind network of happy awakening and happy learners. And the spirit needs happy learners. And so if you feel isolated and weird and unusual in your own life, and you no longer match many of your friends, and you can't express or explain what you're doing on a daily basis to them, this is a way of bringing those into your life in a virtual way, very often, in a very simple way. And so I highly encourage you to do that.